Today we've got a wild freak-up story about someone that accidentally gives their mom a heart attack with a stuffed raccoon. Sounds wild and we'll get into it shortly, but first, today I freaked up by accidentally proposing in a Home Depot. My girlfriend and I were at Home Depot picking out a new shower head. We were joking around, pretending to role play as boring suburban homeowners. I said something like, "I just want to build a life with you and maybe tile a backsplash someday." She laughed and said, "Wow, that almost sounded like a proposal." So I, being a dramatic idiot, got down on one knee in the plumbing aisle with a washer ring and said, "Will you marry me, babe?" We were laughing until she said yes. Dead serious. Eyes misty, voice shaking. "Yes, oh my God, yes!" I froze. I panicked. I was not proposing. I was pretending. And I just went with it. We're engaged now. Our families know. There's a group chat. I still haven't told her it wasn't real. Well, you're on the hook now, my friend. You either follow through with it and marry the girl, or you back out, which would probably end up in either you being put in the doghouse or end of the relationship. Your call, but yeah, that's a doozy of a freak up. Also, hey everybody, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Today I Freaked Up videos, it'd be amazing if you liked the video or commented down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, today I freaked up by getting a tattoo of my mom in a bikini. My dad passed away a few months ago. I was really close to him and I miss him a lot. My dad had quite a few tattoos, but one of them I remember dearly. It was this pin-up style tattoo of a lady in a Hawaiian skirt and a coconut bra on his calf. I always liked that tattoo, even though it was pretty badly done. Most of the color vanished over the years, and I remember our dad letting us color in the tattoo with markers when he wanted to take a nap and keep us busy. My mom always disapproved, and I never understood why, until now. One day, about 2 weeks after he passed away, I was walking around the city and came by a tattoo shop. One thing led to another, and I walked out of that shop with the same tattoo my dad had, the lady with the coconut bra. The artist did a great job at recreating the tattoo, and I was very happy, until I got home and wanted to show my mom. My aunt was there, my dad's sister, and started laughing like crazy. My mom looked quite shocked, not the reaction I was expecting at all. I didn't understand what's happening until my aunt told me, "Well, now you've got your mom on you forever, in a skimpy outfit. Great choice." Well, long story short, my dad got this tattoo about a year after they started dating. She wore this outfit to a party, took a photo, and he got it tattooed a few weeks after. Great. Freaking great. I was a bit confused because my mom has always had blonde hair. The tattoo lady's got black hair, but apparently she had a short phase of dyeing her hair black for a few months. My mom always hated that tattoo. They almost broke up because of it back then. She made him swear that he's never going to tell anyone the story behind that tattoo, hence why I don't know anything about it, and I never asked. I thought this was just a random tattoo he got on one of his mini vacations. Well, now I have a tattoo of my mom in a coconut bra. Great. My mom told me she doesn't mind and that it's kind of funny now, but I'm really thinking of getting it removed. At least it's on my ribcage so I can hide it for the time being. I really don't want to show the world my mom in a bikini. Yeah, you either got to get this covered up or taken off. It's something that you're never going to be able to escape from, even if other people don't know what that tattoo is for. You and your family absolutely know, and yeah, that's kind of awkward. No Salad 8766 replied, "I'd say keep it. It's a reminder of your dad first and foremost. If anything, it showed his love for your mom. You could think of it as a symbol of your parents' love if you wish. No one has to know it's your mom. If anyone asks, just say it's a recreation of a tattoo your late dad had in his honor. You loved it before, enough to put it on your body permanently. Don't let this new info ruin its memory for you." Our next story is, today I freaked up by sending a breakup text to my mom. So I'd been planning to break up with my situationship for weeks. It was casual, messy, and honestly, just emotionally exhausting. I finally worked up the nerve, wrote out a whole heartfelt message about wanting to grow on my own and needing space to figure things out. I copied it from my notes app and pasted it into what I thought was his chat. I even added, "Please don't contact me anymore. I wish you the best, but I need this for my peace." I sent it, felt free, liberated, finally standing up for myself. And then my mom texts back, "Sweetie, are you okay? What's going on?" Turns out I had pasted that entire breakup message into my mom's text thread. She had literally just texted, "Do you want leftovers?" and I ghosted her with a breakup monologue. She called me crying because she thought I was cutting her off or that something terrible happened. I had to awkwardly explain I was trying to ghost a man, not my own mother. Now she tells everyone I emotionally dumped her over lasagna. I think pretty much all of us have been there as far as sending emails or texts inadvertently to the wrong person. It happens. Sounds like you were able to explain it, and hopefully your mom is joking about the emotionally dumping over lasagna. You gotta laugh this off and move on. Jets32094 replied, "If it's any consolation, I just effed up ending a fling like an hour ago." So to give some context, we only dated for like 2.5 weeks, but he had come on way too strong and way too clingy, like inviting himself to my apartment unannounced, giving me a hard time because I didn't text him right away in the middle of my workday, or not inviting him to the gym with me. I was going to plan to meet up with him this week in person to have a conversation and try to let him down easy. Then today, he hits me with a, "So I'll come to your house and we'll make dinner?" I was so overwhelmed. His clinginess had been sending me over the edge, like to the point I feel like I need to walk alternate routes to go home so I don't run into him bad. I was texting my friend about what's been going on, and they've been helping me navigate this. You might see where this is going. So I took a screenshot, and I had meant to send it to my friend with the caption, "Jesus freak," except it didn't go to my friend. It went to the guy. I think I can say with certainty it's over now, but I really wanted to try and handle it in a more emotionally mature manner. But perhaps I don't possess as high emotional maturity as I thought I did. Our next story is, today I freaked out by calling in sick to work, then bumping into my boss at the movies. Had a rough week and really needed a mental break, so I called in sick on a Friday to get a long weekend. I didn't plan anything wild, just wanted to relax, clear my head, and catch a matinee movie without distractions. So I threw on a hoodie and sunglasses, feeling like a low-key celebrity trying to avoid recognition, grabbed some popcorn, and settled into the theater for the 2 p.m. show. As the trailers ended and the lights dimmed, I noticed someone sit 2 seats over. It was my boss, with his wife, also apparently sick. We exchanged one awkward glance, didn't say a word, and sat through the whole movie in silence. Monday at work? Super awkward. We just pretended nothing happened. I don't see any shame in this. I think we all have days where we just don't feel like working or feel up to the task. The physical maladies and the mental ones, I think you can kind of group together in not being fit to work. And so yeah, I mean, we all need days off. Apparently, Boss Man did too. Sifu Yi replied, "This, I tell all new hires reporting to me that if they need a day, they can just be honest and that it's a perfectly valid use of sick time. I remind the whole team about a month before sick time rolls over that if they don't use it, it doesn't carry over to the next year, so they should all be okay taking the time off if they need it. About half of them are more stoic like me and rarely use it for this purpose, but the other half of the team do a better job about recognizing when they could use the break and would be better just taking the day off." Our next story is, today I freaked up by suplexing my cat and accidentally activating my other introverted cat's final form. So I have a cat. His name is Charlie. He's playful, energetic, chaotic, and honestly acts like a cracked out tiger with commitment issues. He flops on my bed every night, belly up, paws in the air, looking all cuddly like he wants affection. I fall for it. I rub his belly, then he bites me like I just insulted his ancestors. Every time. So I started jokingly suplexing him onto the bed or the couch during our play sessions. And I mean gently, I fully support his back, land him on soft surfaces, and only do it when he's clearly in play mode, like chasing lasers, attacking pillows, or initiating cat jujitsu on me. It became kind of our thing. Weird bonding, but it works. Now, here's where I messed up. We have a second cat named Momo. He's the total opposite of Charlie. Introverted, stoic, basically a loaf with legs. You could pick him up, flip him upside down, and he'd just blink like a sad philosopher. He never reacts to anything. One day, Charlie and Momo were napping together on the couch. Everything was calm. I, being the fool I am, decided it would be funny to suplex Charlie mid-snuggle. He lands like a champ, as usual, but then, Momo freaking snaps. This quiet little background character suddenly growls menacingly, for the first time in his life, jumps up and starts beating the heck out of Charlie after he just watched his blood brother get folded. He chased Charlie down to the basement while I stood there wheezing and wondering what dark spirit I had awakened. Cats, dogs, I mean, really, pets in general just have these very, very interesting quirks. I feel like there's definitely something going on here, more than meets the eye. But hey, I mean, as long as he didn't attack you, all good, right? SWDNA replied, but why was Momo mad at Charlie and not you? After all, you were the one who disturbed their cuddle sesh. Halligan8 replied, I've seen this before when I've immobilized one cat to give him meds or clip his nails. The other cat decides he's been given a rare opportunity to pounce on his brother. Our next story is, today I freaked up withdrawing $800 instead of 800 Mexican pesos. I'm not American, I'm not Mexican. I'm simply a dumb tourist. I wanted to get 800 pesos, which is like $40. I go to the ATM, I don't read anything because I'm in a hurry, and I type 800. And then the horror. I think I actually broke the machine. I ended up with freaking 800 American dollars. Cash was literally freaking flying because, of course, there was wind. At the end, I got $680. If you're in Los Cabos and found $120 in the street, well, you can thank me. Or maybe the machine just didn't have that amount of cash, I don't know. I certainly miss $800 on my bank account, though. I have 680 American dollars. I have no freaking idea what I'll do with it. I have a trauma of ATMs now, and I still can't believe this actually happened. How it's even possible that it happened. I mean, can you not exchange the money, put it back in, deposit it? Like, why are you on the hook with this 680? I don't know, maybe things are different in Los Cabos, but seems like a pretty simple solution to me, but that is a pretty funny freak up. Our next story is, today I freaked up by finding out my friend is racist when I wanted to surprise him. I don't mean ha 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 dark humor racist, I mean a racist that tries to mask it as a joke so they can speak freely. I can handle a racist joke if it's actually funny and creative, but it's rare, and the friend shares the class with me. Sorry if I'm rambling, I'm so upset right now. 17-year-old male. I'm a culinary student. My culinary teacher had over 20 baskets of strawberries left over. Going to be honest, I was having a crap week due to the pressure of college and wanted to make at least one person's day better. So I took one basket with the intention of handing them out at lunch to be nice. As I was handing it out at lunch, got the underclassman to smile, and it cheered me up. I went over to my friend's table. I hear him making awful comments as black people and saying slurs. He was so invested he didn't see me walking up to the table to offer the strawberries to the table. I'm black. Normally his jokes are implied or you fill in the blank. I let them slide because I didn't think he could be that awful. Think extremely corny and dry. He finally saw me and gets nervous as he didn't expect me. But then the idiot doubles down. It doesn't count since I didn't say it around them. It's not racist to say words if it's in private. And another dude I genuinely respected said, oh, like, This was unprompted. I would have let it slide if it didn't come out so naturally. I can tell if you say it in private just from how it sounds. If you say it a lot, it has a type of flow to it. I tried to laugh it off, but I just shook my head and walked off. He tried to tell me, come on, OP, you know I was joking. I handed the last of the remaining strawberries to my economics teacher. The other friend, who I lost respect for, was very quiet in class. Normally, we would chat and he would hype me up on assignments. The racist friend who was making the jokes had a history of being called creepy, but in my attempt to get along with every one of my peers, I kept them in mind, but still interacted with him. I couldn't fit in all his allegations and things he admitted on one post without lengthening it. I feel like an idiot for feeling bad for him. Normally share reels with each other, and when he was going through a breakup, I went out of my way to make sure there wasn't a couple in it. I never dated before, so I thought it was an appropriate action. Just to find out from a mutual that his version of the breakup wasn't true. My friend ranted to the mutual about relationship issues, and when the girl found out, she broke up with him. The mutual told me that he called her out of her name multiple times and thought she was cheating with her lesbian friend. He was being insecure, that's why. Now I'm ghosting him on Instagram, and I'm short with him in class, but he hasn't noticed. The mutual is cutting contact, and so will I. I swear, Virginia has been the most racist place I've ever lived. You think you know a guy. I think you're making the right move by cutting contact, and honestly, if he doesn't notice or doesn't seem to care, then that only doubles down and reinforces your decision to cut him loose. Hard-headed Hungarian replied, never tolerate even racist jokes because it opens the door to people that you're okay with it as well. While we all have prejudice, we have to choose every day not to look the other way when people celebrate or make light of it. Take a stand that you won't tolerate it around you, and it might cost you friends, but you'll find better friends in the end. Our next story is, today I freaked up by rescuing a goldfish that betrayed my little brother's heart. So I've been keeping fish for years, and have been rescuing sad-looking fish at pet stores for a while now. A few months ago, I rescued a sad little goldfish from a dollar store tank situation. Poor thing was pale, skinny, and obviously not being taken care of. I brought it home, got it set up in a 70-liter tank by itself. My 7-year-old little brother is autistic. He's very particular about colors. His favorite color is white. Not off-white, not cream, white. When he saw the goldfish, which at the time was still pearly white, he instantly fell in love. He then declared it his fish, and I just kinda laughed it off and told him he can be its owner if he takes care of it properly. He named it Snowball, which I thought was pretty cute. He fed it daily, watched it swim, even told it little stories. He was obsessed. I felt like the best big sister ever, to be honest. But then, a couple weeks ago, he went away for a week on a school trip, and during that week, Snowball turned orange. I knew it could happen. Goldfish often change color as they mature, especially if they're rescues who were underfed or poorly housed. Better diet, proper lighting, and reduced stress bring out their natural pigment. But try explaining pigment development to a heartbroken 7-year-old. He came home, ran to the tank, stopped dead in his tracks and stared, and then he burst into tears. So now he's mourning Snowball like he died, even though the fish is literally right there, swimming around and living his best orange life. I tried to explain. I even showed him old pictures, but he just whispered, "That's his cousin," and walked away. I mean, this is kind of a tough one to maneuver about. If the whole reason why little bro is endeared by this fish was because of its color, I mean, maybe you can just explain that the reason he's orange is because he's happier and healthier now, and he's doing much better. It's not the cousin. This is, Snowball 2.0. I don't know. I really got nothing. Feral85 replied, "I so feel for you. However, I also cackled like a loon. That's his cousin. Does your brother know Pokemon? Maybe you can tell him it evolved into its best self." Our next story is, today I freaked up and dropped my only 2 EpiPens off a 3-story building in a foreign country. Hi, well, it wasn't today, but I still messed up, and it's pretty funny, I think. For simplification's sake, EpiPen equals EP. So I was in Rome on a trip with some of my friends. We were 4 sleeping in the same room, and it was early in the morning. One of the 4 was already off to get breakfast, so it was just me and 2 other friends at this point in time. One was in the bathroom for like 10 minutes, and this story happened in those 10 minutes, and that friend saw nothing. So I'm allergic to peanuts, and those who have allergies know that having an EpiPen in any foreign country is very important. But you would also know that most people with EpiPens are very careless with the EpiPens. So the day before, my friend asked me to put their crackers in my purse since they didn't have space for them, and I agreed. Forward to the day of the story. I forget they're there. I open my purse and find the crackers and crumbs everywhere in my purse. So I proceed to empty it of everything. Or I think. Thing is, my purse has more discreet compartments where I had put my EpiPens. So I didn't really notice them being there. Being the smart and intelligent being that I am, I decide to shake my purse out the window to get rid of the crumbs. Oops, what's that? Oh no, is that my EPs falling? But of course! However, they did not fall all the way down. The hotel we were at had small ledges on the outside walls. So the EpiPens were lying on the ledge between my window and the one below. The window had an iron railing covering the bottom half, so I couldn't get to them. Once again, I'm a very smart and competent being, so I of course decide to climb out the window. Luckily, the only friend that was in the same room as me came up to me what? So I explained to her. She told me to grab a blanket and go in the street, so I did. I get to the street, right beneath where my window is. My friend's phone is attached to a rope so she can carry it around her neck and stuff. She lowers her phone through the railing with the rope and proceeds to push the EPs off the ledge with the phone, as I hold the blanket like I'm a firefighter. I thought the EPs would land gracefully into the blanket, but I learned about gravity that day and got hit straight in the face through the blanket. One of the EPs even bounced off and fell to the concrete floor with a snap. I returned to my room with both my EPs, and my friend who was in the bathroom comes out and I tell them everything. They're still laughing to this day, and honestly I get it. Mind you, we were halfway through the trip and I still had like a week and a half to go, not knowing if my EPs would work or not. I was told after the trip that I could have just went to a pharmacy and gotten new ones, but the thought didn't occur to me at the time. Yeah, this is a funny story. I mean, the lengths that you go to for something like this, but as one commenter posted, just hit up a pharmacy, they'll hook you up. Legally obligated. Kieran Rex replied, just for future reference, next time go fishing. Rope, cord, ribbon, etc. Tape, the stronger the better. A weight of some kind on the end of the ribbon to help push the tape onto the object if the tape isn't strong enough. Go fishing. Our next story is, today I freaked up giving my stool sample at a laboratory. I, 29-year-old male, recently started a new medication which was causing bloating and constipation. I went to a clinic nearby and saw a general practitioner, and based on my medical history, he recommended that I do a stool poo test. I've never done it before, so I had no clue how it worked and was a bit embarrassed. Prior to my appointment, I had to wait at the GP for about 40 minutes because of delays. I had parked my car a couple of streets away and had only 1 hour parking, so I was in a rush to move it. My gut issues were also causing brain fog and anxiety, and as a result, I made a blunder and did not collect the stool sample kit. I was not even aware that I was supposed to do this and didn't know what a stool sample kit was. I managed to move my car on time without copping a fine and continued with my day. I made sure that I ate plenty of fruits and vegetables and drank lots of water. The next morning, I took a new 2-liter Tupperware container and filled it with poo, closed the lid, put the container in a paper bag, and put in an envelope and drove to the laboratory. I went to the desk and gave them the paperwork from the doctor, and when asked for the sample, took out the Tupperware and kept it on the desk. The attendant lady in her late 40s was shocked and had a look of horror on her face and said, "You're supposed to collect the sample kit from the lab and bring it back to us." She showed me the sample kit, and it was a container the size of my finger with a tiny spoon. I was standing there like an idiot with this Tupperware full of poo. The attendant started laughing. I've never been more embarrassed in my life. But it gets worse as one of the lab assistants show up, which turns out to be a girl from my CrossFit class. As the attendant was trying to explain to her what happened, I stormed out. I ended up submitting my sample at a location 20 kilometers away from my house at a different branch and haven't been to CrossFit class for a week. I have this feeling that everyone knows, and it's driving me crazy. Hey, look, OP, no shame in the game. Everybody poops. I don't know about 2 liters worth per session, but, you did what was asked of you. Maybe just a little extra. Retro-reactive Ruckus replied, I know this is hard emotionally, but none of the people at that clinic woke up one day and decided, I'm going to play with samples for a living. They're medical professionals who went to school, got training for this, and honestly, you probably made everyone's week in an otherwise pretty monotonous job with a lot of paperwork. I promise, it'll never come up if you see the woman from your CrossFit class again. If it does, there's boards you can rightfully report her for breaching confidentiality. She can't even legally acknowledge she's seen you at work unless you do first. Our next story is, today I freaked out by spending 4 hours and $40 to buy something that was just a foot behind me. So I was working on my car and needed to finish it up last night so I could go get the steering aligned today. I started after work and had all the parts I needed. One side went really easily, and the other side was tougher because my puller kept slipping off and I could not find the strut nut that holds the strut together. I looked all through all the packaging and tried the one from the old parts, but the thread spacing was wrong. So at about 3 a.m., I decided to close my garage door, take 2 more laps around the garage, and then go to sleep so I could buy one this morning. Still can't find it, and I start cursing the supplier that sold it to me because this means the last 3 times I ordered from them, I got a part with a component missing. So I think maybe I can just bike over to the auto parts store down the street. I find my helmet easily, but I haven't ridden that bike in a couple years, so my bike tires are flat and my air pump is broken. Anyway, I pay $3 for a bus pass, go to the auto parts store and they don't have it. Try the home improvement store nearby and they don't have it either. Start calling around and a hardware store has it, but it's an hour by bus each way. pay for a lift over there, and then ask my friend for a ride back because the bus and a lift will be 20 minutes before they get to me. Wait around a while. He can't find his keys, so I ask my ex. Finally got a ride from my ex for the price of lunch, and I make it home. I've got everything assembled and start cleaning up with my garage open and see one of the two, just in case, new nuts I bought on the ground outside the garage. That's weird because I'm pretty sure I left the spare in my backpack. And then I realized that the nut I was missing was only lost because my garage door was closed. Yeah, you could kind of see this coming. It's unfortunate, but this is what you call a life lesson. Hooyah54 replied, I ordered some cubicle shelving from Better Homes and Gardens. I have several of these already, love them, and could assemble them in my sleep. They have about a dozen or so cam bolts. Every other one I've bought, the cam bolt/locks are in their own bag. Together, this one was short 6 bolts, 2 days, Amazon, $15, and a 25-pack, nothing smaller for the size I needed. Later, the needed bolts arrived. 10 minutes later, I was done. Shelving assembled. Whilst gathering up the box and styrofoam padding, a plastic bag half the size of a Kool-Aid envelope slides out from under a piece of styrofoam I left in the box while removing boards. The other 6 bolts, in a second bag. I now have a jar of probably useless until I die cam bolts and locks. Our next story is, today I freaked up and my daughter wants to quit dance class. My 7-year-old girl loves art. She's in dance, ballet, and tap dance since 3 years old. Today, I took her to dance class, like I've done many times before. The dance studio is kind of big and has 2 different waiting rooms for the patients. The one next to her class was full, and I went to the other one to find a chair. I was reading on my Kindle during most of the hour she was in class. In the last 15 minutes of her class, I pulled my phone and put my earbuds on to watch the F1 race qualifying highlights. I did this on purpose to avoid watching the entire thing home in the morning so I can dedicate more time to my kiddos. Unfortunately, today I freaked up. The teacher went calling the parents for us to watch the kids doing a practice rehearsal of their live performance next month, and I did not hear because I had my earbuds on. As always, 5 minutes before the class ended, I went to wait by her classroom and I saw all the parents inside and the kids dancing. I immediately knew I had effed up. I was the only parent not in there. I could immediately tell my daughter was crushed, but was still performing. I missed 2 out of the 3 songs they danced. When the practice was over, my daughter came to me crying and said she wanted to go home. She's so crushed, she said she doesn't want to do dance anymore. I know she'll remember this bad feeling for a long time. What frustrates me the most is that I'm actively trying to spend less time connected to my phone. I won't do social media, Reddit is the only one, and I've been reading more instead of spending time connected. I swear to God, the only 15 minutes I did during her class got me to mess up. Anyway, I don't have anyone to blame and I have no excuses. Today, I freaked up. Well, it's time to put your parent hat on and apologize, take her out for ice cream, just placate. Kids are very forgiving at that age, so I think you'll be able to work your way back into those good graces, but yeah, that's a bit of a blunder. Waxwork commented, explain to your daughter, tell her what you told us but in shorter form, that you messed up and that you're sad you missed the performance and apologize. If she's the sort that might like that kind of thing, have her put on a performance for you and maybe the rest of the family. Clear a space and make it a moment where she has everyone's attention and let her know how proud you are of her. This can be a bonding moment, something you guys joke about years later. Dragon Mom 1 replied, and don't ever wear 2 earbuds or earphones when you're in public, regardless of the situation. It's important to hear what's going on around you. Our next story is, today I freaked up by making my office enact martial law due to my cooking. 8 years ago, when I was a 20-year-old intern in the office I now work in full-time, I made a horrible mistake. I'd been there for maybe a month and I was loving it, but outside work I had 0 skills. I hadn't learned how to cook anything and I just improv my way through food. So whenever I made soup, I'd just dump a crap load of frozen vegetables whole into a giant mug of broth and microwave it. My department shares a floor with HR, and it's basically a long hallway of office doors on each side with a tiny kitchenette in the middle. It's very Lumen, except for how the office doors are noticeably weirdly small for their frames. Ben Stiller would never. It was a Saturday, and I went in to do some work, so I was the only person on the floor. I'd packed a soup for lunch, which I'd made by dumping a whole bag of frozen peas in one of my comically large ceramic soup mugs and adding some broth. At around noon, I chucked it in the kitchenette microwave, and somehow within a few minutes, the broth got to borderline boiling. And for some reason, when I reached to get it, I grabbed my soup not by the handle, but by the mug itself. My hand had that delay between registering intense pain and reacting to it, and in that time, I'd taken the soup out of the microwave, swung, turned, and was holding it over the floor of the hallway. I screamed. I dropped the mug. Whatever, right? It's just a mug. I could just clean it up. Imagine. What a world that would be. Instead, when the mug hit the floor, it shattered and, good God, the peas. I know there couldn't have been hundreds of them, but it genuinely looked like it. It was like a grenade of peas that exploded into 20 power washers blasting peas in every direction. I guess the heat also hardened them or something because they were like little rubber bullets, bouncing every direction insanely far down both sides of the hallway, with more buoyancy than I thought anything edible could have. The peas went absolutely freaking everywhere, and remember those awkward too small doors? Yeah, turns out there's a giant 2-inch gap between the bottom of them and the floor, which is more than enough space for 50 peas to jettison themselves under every single doorframe and rocket to the backs of each office, way beyond where I could reach them even with a huge stick, which I also didn't have. I've asked myself so many times over the years, in what freaking world were you going to eat all of those peas? Was it 2 entire bags of frozen peas in there? All I could do was force myself to stop crying, mop up the broth in the hallway, and retrieve the maybe 5 out of 5,000 peas that hadn't gone under one of the 10+ locked office doors for basically everyone in HR. I scrubbed the floors, collected every tiny sliver of the mug corpse in a bag, and threw it out in a public dumpster 30 minutes away. Then I went home and thought to myself, maybe they won't notice. Thus began the pea incident, our department's ground zero, the biggest thing that ever happened in the office to this day. All anyone talked about for weeks were their theories about who broke in on the weekend and put such an insane amount of peas in everyone in ours offices, and how they did it. I vehemently agreed with everyone who suspected my least favorite office alcoholic. They called a series of executive meetings about a security issue and oversight and staff safety. There were so many presentations. I remember an exec asking, "What if it isn't peas next time? What if it's anthrax?" I sat in meeting after meeting about it, taking the worst notes I'd ever taken because my hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. Everyone had to start locking their office doors whenever they left, even if they're just going to the bathroom or popping out for a second. They put additional scan locks on all the doors to the entire floor, and everyone still needs a special key fob to get the elevator to open on the right floor. I developed stomach ulcers from the stress and barely slept for months. I was so terrified that someone would find out it was me. I've been scared for almost a decade, as my internship became a freelance position, then several contract positions, then a part-time permanent role, then finally full-time permanent. And the stakes just kept getting higher. I have a chronic illness, and my meds had hit more than $600 a month over the pandemic. But thankfully, due to that very pandemic and super high turnover rates, slowly over the last 8 years, everyone who was there for the pea thing has left, and the thing that I desperately needed to be forgotten was lost. Pea history became pea legend. Pea legend became pea myth. And for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge until yesterday, because freaking Carol, not her real name, is back covering a mat leave, and Carol asked me yesterday if I remember the peas. I said, no, I must have blocked the memory out because I'm highly allergic to peas. She said she still wonders who did it. She's here for another 8 months at least, and I cannot let her catch me. Freak you, Carol, and freak peas. I freaking hate peas. Yeah, improving your way through cooking are obviously famous last words, and wouldn't recommend. Try to know what you're doing before you start cooking. It's for everyone's good. Our next story is, today I freaked up by buying a massive double-door fridge without measuring literally anything in my apartment. This disaster unfolded over the weekend, and I'm still living in denial about the $1,200 appliance currently blocking my building's hallway. So my old fridge finally died. RIP to 8 years of faithful service. And I had some cash saved up from a work bonus recently. Saw this gorgeous stainless steel double door beauty on sale and just bought it. Like a complete amateur who apparently forgot that physics exists. The delivery guy showed up Saturday morning, took one look at my second floor walk-up situation, and basically went, "LOL, good luck." No elevator, obviously, just narrow stairs and a hallway that was clearly designed by someone who hates large appliances. My boyfriend and 3 of his friends volunteered to help. Bless them, thinking, how hard could it be? Cut to 2 hours of them trying every possible angle, removing the doors, tilting it sideways, basically attempting fridge Tetris while I stood there having a full existential crisis. Plot twist. Even if we somehow defied the laws of space and time to get it upstairs, there's this sharp 90-degree turn right at my apartment door that makes zero geometric sense for anything wider than a pizza box. So now I have a $1,200 fridge chilling in the hallway. Literally, it's still plugged in because I'm in denial. My neighbors think I'm insane, and I'm Googling, do appliance stores take returns on items that are technically homeless? I feel for you, OP. I once lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment building myself, and same situation, no elevator, and the stairwells weren't straight. They had those, 90-degree switchbacks halfway through, and moving appliances in, it didn't come furnished, so like washer, dryer, stuff like that, pain in the rear end like you would not believe. But just went with a smaller refrigerator, so I didn't quite have that problem that you're having, but I can relate, totally. That sucks. I use all the bandwidth replied. I did something similar, 36-inch double-door Maytag. The fridge should make it in sideways if you take all the doors off. Take the freezer drawer out, if it's that kind of fridge, and take that front door off its hinges. A couple of minutes with a power drill screwdriver. If you can get your building super in on the fun, it should work. Edit. Renting an appliance dolly from your local self-storage or U-Haul would be a big help. The filthy DIL replied, but will the new fridge fit in the space allotted to the old fridge? Last time we needed a new fridge, we had to get quite firm with the appliance salesman. Look, we have 31 inches in which to put this thing. No, that top-of-the-line 54-inch double door will not fit. No, we can't move things to make room. We would have to rip out multiple cabinets, move the stove, and lose all but about 18 inches of counter space. But no! Maybe your manager understands physics. Our next story is, today I freaked up by trying to be thoughtful and ended up looking unhinged. So my girlfriend's been stressed lately about work stuff, life stuff, all of it. I thought, you know what? I'll do something nice for her. Clean the flat, cook a proper meal, set up a little vibe. Not anything mad, just something decent. I start tidying, all good. Then I think candles would be a nice touch. I find one she likes and light it. Then I think music. I make a playlist. Then I think bath. She loves baths. Here's where I went wrong. I filled the bath way too early. Way too early. Like 45 minutes before she'd even be home. Water goes lukewarm, so I try to top it up with hot water. Forget I'm doing it. Go back to the kitchen to plate up food. Burn the garlic bread. Smoke alarm starts going off. Run to stop that. Slip a bit. Then I hear the bath overflowing. Floor soaked. I throw towels down like that's gonna help. In the middle of this, she walks in the door. I'm drenched. Garlic bread is black. Bath is spilling out. And her exact words were you trying to unalive me or propose? It was supposed to be thoughtful. It looked like a crime scene. She laughed eventually, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick to takeaway next time. Brutal. First of all, why doesn't your bathtub have an emergency overflow drain? And secondly, trying to do all of that in one fell swoop, while your intentions were honorable and admirable, that's literally a bit off more than you could choose. So at least she forgave you. It's a sweet thought, but yeah, definitely simplify the next time you want to treat your lady. Avid Learner Bot replied, I mean, how did you manage to flood the bathroom, burn garlic bread, and trigger the smoke alarm all in one night? I swear, that sounds like a horror movie plot. Did you at least leave room for a dessert of chaos? And OP replied to this, I have ADHD. C. Steph Say replied, I literally came here to see if ADHD was mentioned, because the stories I have that all go just like this. 38-year-old female, primarily inattentive. Clearly. Our next story is, today I freaked up by yelling, I love you at a woman who wasn't my wife. I was leaving work and saw a woman walking a dog that looked exactly like my wife's from the back. Same leash, same coat, even had the little pink bandana. I was in my car pulling out of the lot and thought it would be cute to surprise her, so I rolled down the window and yelled, "Hey sexy, I love you baby." The woman turned around, and it wasn't my wife. It was her boss. The dog? Similar, not the same. The woman? Mortified. She recognized me. She works in the same building. My wife now has to explain why her husband shouted "I love you baby" to her supervisor in the parking lot like we're in a low-budget rom-com. You know, the situation might have been salvageable if she didn't recognize you and it wasn't someone that knew your wife. Now it's just awkward. I mean, you gotta come clean, confess it's an honest mistake. You were trying to be nice, didn't work out. Sometimes those are the breaks. Jumpin' in 66 replied, "Years ago, I went to pick up my daughter from her friend's house around 9 to 10 p.m. At the time, she was around 15 to 16. She sent me a text saying they were at McDonald's, but she would be back in a few minutes, so I sat in my car across the street from her friend's house. When I saw her coming down the street, I rolled down my window and said, 'Hey little girl, want some candy?' And it was not my daughter. Fortunately, it was my daughter's friend, so she was later able to explain it was just my sick sense of humor, not some random pedophile." Abbott Jones XXX replied, "Could have been me telling this story, except it was when I was picking her up from the park. Her friend was wearing her coat and their hair is very similar. I asked if the little girls wanted some candy loudly. Thankfully, the only other adults around to witness were all acquaintances from school, so bullet dodged." Our next story is, "Today, I freaked up by causing a 6th grade field trip to have a traumatic bathroom experience. The Great Bathroom Showdown." So, little backstory. I'd been constipated for 3 days. Nothing was coming out. Then today, my body decided it was finally go time, right as I was getting ready for a run at the park. Of course, being at a public park, the only option was one of those grimy public restrooms. Gross, I know. I went in and quickly realized there was just one stall and one urinal. No ventilation, just a humid, muggy, stale-aired box of shame. About 15 minutes into what I'll graciously call my bathroom adventure, I heard a crowd approaching the door. The second it opened, I realized, field trip, 6th grade boys. Now, if you've ever been around middle schoolers, you know subtlety is not their strong suit. The first wave walked in, and immediately the gagging started. "Oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever smelled! What is that?" They were dramatic, but honestly, I couldn't blame them. I'd been brewing that situation for 3 days. But it didn't stop there. The kids just kept coming. It was like a clown car of chaos. Every new group came in, got hit with the stench wall, gagged, screamed, and then ran out to warn the next wave. All the while, I'm in the stall, silently praying for mercy, trying not to laugh or break composure. Since there was only one urinal, the poor kids had to wait in line, inside. One by one, they were forced to endure the heck I'd created, gagging, talking, wondering aloud what sort of demon had done this. And it was me, just me, stewing in the shame, trying to keep it together. Eventually, this stream of kids slowed, but by now, everyone knew how bad it smelled. And they were all waiting right outside the door. I knew it. They knew it. We were all aware of the showdown that was about to happen. Finally, I emerged. There was one chaperone left inside, washing his hands. He turned, looked at me, and gave me a face of pure disgust, like I had personally betrayed his faith in humanity. I washed my hands, fixed my hair, walked out with pride, and then went on my run. Afterwards, 10 out of 10, best run I've had in months. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you eat Taco Bell more than twice a week. Just saying. Monkey Trumpets replied, "This reminds me of when I went to DC in 8th grade. We took a charter bus down. One day, we took the bus to a museum, and when we got there, I had to poop. For whatever reason, the teacher, who was a bench, made me go to the bathroom on the bus. Yes, in the toilet. It was cramped and uncomfortable, and if I remember right, I wasn't able to wash my hands. I also wasn't able to wipe my butt fully, and so I felt disgusting. We were also at the museum for like 5 minutes, so overall an unpleasant experience." Our next story is, "Today I freaked up by chugging street coffee like an idiot. So I'm Vietnamese, but I've been in the US since I was 6. Just got back to Nam, feeling all nostalgic and crap. Decided to grab a milk coffee from a street vendor. Looked innocent enough. Big plastic cup, tasted pretty good. Big freaking mistake. I drank the whole thing, every last drop. Now, I've smoked weed. I've even hit thuoklao, Japanese pipe tobacco. Thought I was tough, but this coffee, this crap was on another level. My heart started doing a goddamn drum solo. My hands couldn't stop shaking. I swear I was seeing sounds and hearing colors. I felt like I'd mainline pure anxiety. Ended up in the hospital, looking like a total idiot. Pretty sure the doctors just laughed at the Americanized kid who couldn't handle his coffee. They hooked me up to an IV and told me to chill the freak out. Seriously, Vietnamese coffee ain't coffee. It's a goddamn recreational drug. Never again. My heart's still trying to escape my chest. Vietnamese coffee is freaked. Okay, so maybe I'm not alone here, but now I'm a little curious to try this Vietnamese coffee. It sounds like a rad psychedelic straight out of the 60s. And even if it turns out to be overblown, overrated, this is a nice little story to share, gotta say. 2021 Fireman 10 replied, "Caffeine is a drug and can be dangerous. I was a paramedic for 30 years, and the amount of people, young people, I lost count of the number I transported to the hospital after all those high-caffeine energy drinks came out. It's no joke. I'm glad you're okay." And OP replied to this, "It was definitely a wake-up call, pun intended, about respecting what you put into your body, especially when it costs less than $2 and comes with a guarantee of making you feel like you've snorted a lightning bolt. Seriously, mad respect for your 3 decades on the front lines dealing with that, and every other kind of human chaos." Our next story is, "Today I freaked out by sending my coworker into an existential spiral with a dumb ChatGPT prompt list. So this has been haunting me for a couple weeks now, and I'm not sure what to do. I made one of those 5 ChatGPT prompts to change how you think posts on LinkedIn. You've seen the format. Usually it's productivity fluff, like, what's one habit successful people have? But I thought I'd mess with it a little. Still fun on the surface, but the prompts were sharper. Stuff like, write the lie you tell yourself to keep functioning, and trace your first emotional boundary violation and describe the system you've built to survive it. Basically, I dressed up some extremely not-for-beginner introspection tools as casual growth hacks. I thought it was clever. A guy I used to work with, let's call him Dave, messaged me after. He's super normal, middle management type. He likes spreadsheets and fantasy football. He says he tried a couple prompts and they hit harder than expected. I thought, cool, maybe give him some stuff to think about. Then, a few days later, he starts DMing me stuff like, I realized my entire career path was just me reenacting my dad's approval matrix. How do you reintegrate a part of yourself that never got to grow up? Have you heard of something called the mirror logic framework? I think that's what this is. Which, okay, that last one isn't even a thing. I think he made it up. Then he goes silent for a bit. Turns out he quit his job with 0 notice. Just dropped a Slack message that said, the operating system is corrupt. I'm stepping outside the container. His team was not thrilled, to put it nicely. He was in a critical role, apparently, and now their entire project is so far behind, it will have a major impact on his company's bottom line. And now they know I'm the guy who gave him those questions. So now I'm getting weird vibes at my own job. It's a relatively small field. People avoid eye contact when I walk by. Someone joked in a meeting that I was doing mind experiments again, and I'm like, I don't think they were joking. I'm not in trouble officially, but there's definitely a vibe. Like, I introduced some suspicious rogue code into the codebase. I half expect HR to send me a calendar invite called Touchpoint. Anyway, today I freaked out by underestimating what happens when you hand someone a philosophical grenade disguised as a journaling prompt. I wanted people to think. I didn't mean to cause a metaphysical workplace incident. So let's take a quick look at OP's post history posted by Epic Pillowcase. It's fun to think about words as hyperdimensional nodes, where poetry and math combine. Imagine what the word scent must mean to an AI in that context. Right now I'm seeing, out there in the world, spontaneous beneficial mind mirroring, but also mind mirroring that isn't so beneficial. I've been pollinating my environment with Fred Rogers content, plus my own unique brand of recursive self-analysis. I'm hoping this strategy will help me balance right on the edge between woo and math. Sweet jeeb, this has got to be the biggest load of mentally masturbatory tripe I've read all week, and that's saying something for Reddit. Just wow. Our next story is, today I freaked out by burning chocolate chips in the microwave and then clogging the toilet with the burnt mass of chocolate. This happened in the summer when I was 16. I'm 37 now. At that time, I had a tendency to sleep in late. I wasn't a partier or a drinker, but I would stay up late watching TV. I would usually turn in around 1:30 after Conan. I woke up around 10 or so, and for whatever reason, I decided I wanted some chocolate sauce. To drink? To just snack on? I don't know what I was thinking I needed chocolate sauce for, but after searching the cupboards, I saw that we were out. I did manage to find chocolate chips, as my mom liked to bake. It's important to remember that I was home alone at this point, as my parents were both at work, and my brother was visiting my grandparents. I put the chips into a glass dish, put them in the microwave for 3 minutes on high, and walked away. I came back to the kitchen just before the beep of the microwave to find smoke billowing out of the microwave. I didn't know things could burn in microwaves, but there I was. I knew I needed to get rid of the evidence. Throwing it in the garbage wasn't an option, as it could easily be found there. So I decided the best option was to flush it down the toilet. Just like not knowing things could burn in the microwave, I also didn't know that if you drop smoldering chocolate into cold water, it turns into a rock. I flushed the toilet thinking my problems were over. Well, the toilet clogged. No problem, I know what to do. I'll just use the plunger, I thought. After 3 or 4 unsuccessful attempts to unclog the toilet with the plunger, I had no choice but to resort to other methods. I couldn't see the chocolate chips, but I could feel them. They were stuck right on the pipe. I got a butter knife from the kitchen and tried to break them all up. I remember saying out loud, "Just go down the pipe. Either come up or go down." I tried a few other things, sharper knives, needle nose pliers, literally any sharp object I could find. Nothing worked. Eventually, I decided maybe I need something to push it down, like a pressure washer or something. We didn't have a pressure washer, but maybe the garden hose would do the trick. Luckily, the hose was right below the bathroom window. However, we lived in a raised bungalow and the bathroom window was too high to get the hose through, so I had it going up into my brother's room, out into the hall, and into the bathroom. We had one of those heads on the hose with different settings. I set it to the highest pressure setting possible and let it rip. I must have flooded the toilet 6 times. This thing did not budge. I wish there was a better ending, but I called my mom at work in a panic, thinking we would have to spend money on a plumber. Thankfully, my grandfather came around with his plumber's snake and, with much difficulty, got the toilet unclogged. Yeah, this is just a culmination of a series of, increasingly bad decisions. I know you're a teenager. Lesson learned. Thank you for sharing, but man, it's didn't have to come to this, didn't have to go that far. Our next story is, today I freaked up by getting WD-40 all over concrete at work. I, 19-year-old male, am a lifeguard. The lifeguard chairs at the pool I work at are on wheels, and it's the beginning of the season, still right now, and they haven't been used in a while. The wheels are hella squeaky and make the most freaking horrible, ear-splitting noise when you roll them even a very short distance. Today, I was looking through the guard shack for duct tape to fix an umbrella pole while I noticed a can of WD-40 on the floor. I have little life experience, and all I knew about WD-40 is that it can make rusty things less squeaky. I read the can, and it didn't say anything about staining anything or keeping away from fabric or clothes or specific materials, so I didn't think twice about getting it on the concrete or anything. I immediately thought about the lifeguard chair wheels and was stoked about finding the WD-40. I read the directions and figured I could just put a stream of it on each of the rusty bearings in the wheels and it would be all good. I didn't think about any possible effect that WD-40 would have other than fixing the squeaky wheels. So on one of my breaks, I went and doused the wheels in WD-40. I put quite a bit of it on the wheels because the directions said to fully saturate whatever surface I was using it on. I was just excited about fixing the wheels at first, but after about half an hour, I noticed that the water around the chair was evaporating, but the excess WD-40 that had gotten on the ground was not. After a bit more time, I started to worry, and then I looked it up, and my fears that it actually stains the ground were confirmed. My boss loves me, but for some unknown reason, her supervisor hates me, and he's the one who would deal with issues like this. That does not bode well for me. I had my boyfriend bring Dawn dish soap to the pool for me to scrub it with when my shift is over, because someone said that might help get the stain out, so we'll see. If it doesn't, then I don't know what I'll do. Oh, and the wheels are still squeaky. FML. Yeah, sounds like a bad time right there. I don't think this is like a fireable offense, but the fact that the wheels are still squeaky is just like the crap cherry on top of the crap cake, you know? That's terrible. Vox Veritas replied, "The WD stands for water displacement. It's not meant to be used as a lubricant, really, at least not long term. If something is squeaky, WD-40 is a temp fix. You need to get a grease spray to fix that thing permanently. Basically, don't use WD-40 for stuff like that. It's not what it's meant for. It's meant for cleaning things, preventing rust, and displacing moisture. Our next story is, today I freaked up by taking edibles and ordering 500 nuggets on DoorDash. I don't do edibles often, but when I do, I apparently become a corporate caterer. I took a gummy with my roommate on a chill Saturday night. 45 minutes in, I felt like I had to have McDonald's nuggets, like a spiritual craving. I opened the app and thought, I'll order 50, that should be enough. Problem, I didn't realize I selected 10-piece and changed the quantity to 50. So, 500 nuggets. What the? It cost $187. I didn't notice until they showed up in 3 massive bags and the Dasher asked if we were hosting a party. We were not. We did, however, accidentally feed our whole apartment complex. One guy brought hot sauce. It kinda ruled. Now that is how you make lemonade out of lemons, as they say. Good recovery. Our next story is, today I freaked up by responding "you too" when the doctor said, "take your pants off." Hello Reddit, this is an awkward post, but I don't know who to tell and I want to share this to someone else. Went in for my annual physical. I'm already awkward at the doctor's office, so I nervously babble or do the whole nod and smile thing. Anyway, the doctor walks in, chats a bit, and says, "Okay, take your pants off and lie on the table." And my dumb butt instinctively says, "You too." There was a long pause. He blinked. I blinked. We both knew what I said, and yet neither of us addressed it. He just moved on like a champ. Professionalism of the highest order. I lay on the table in complete silence, fully understanding that I'll never emotionally recover from this. You'll be fine, OP. The only people that know are you and your doctor, and I guess now all of us because you decided you could contain it and you shared the story on Reddit. Why? Other necessary 8717 replied, "I totally get rambling and such. I hate doctors and hospitals, etc. Trauma related. Also, customer service just conditions us to say quirky little things, unfortunately. It may be embarrassing, but I think they figured it was a slip based on your expression, or they probably would have been super awkward the whole time after. If it happens again, I just crack a joke or make a comment about being tired and apologize so that you don't have to worry about the interaction. I've done this in interviews, medical exams, etc. out of exhaustion when I was in uni, and everyone always giggled. Don't stress too much. Heck, maybe subconsciously you just really like your doctor." Our next story is, today I freaked up by giving my mom an accidental heart attack with a stuffed raccoon. I recently moved into my first apartment and was feeling kinda lonely, so I bought a very realistic taxidermy-style raccoon plush from Etsy. It was supposed to be funny. I named him Ricky. Ricky lives on my couch. Last weekend, my mom came to visit unannounced while I was at work. She let herself in with the spare key I stupidly gave her. Apparently, Ricky was facing the door, on the couch, like he was waiting. My mom thought it was a real raccoon. She screamed, dropped her phone, and called 911 from my neighbor's house. By the time I got the frantic voicemail, "There's a raccoon in your house, oh my god!" 2 cops had already entered and neutralized Ricky by throwing a laundry basket over him. I now have to pick up my raccoon plush from the police station. Look, like, unless it's like Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy, why are we calling 911 over this? Jeez Louise. Funny story though, albeit a little humiliating for your mom's sake. McDuchess replied, "Poor Ricky, your mother is an idiot. I remember coming home from high school to see my mom and older sister on the couch with their feet tucked under them. It was fall, when small creatures were looking for a place to spend the winter. They'd seen a mouse. I honestly don't remember how I did it, but I got a peanut butter jar over it, slipped some cardboard under it, and carried it out to the street. Poor mouse. Mom was mad that I didn't unalive it." All right, everybody, that is all the time we got for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. And if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. All that said, I will see you all next time.